I've been divorced twice, and both times medicine played a role. But I'm engaged now for the third time, and this time it's different. Not because I found the perfect person, but because I finally learned how to be a partner. Hello, I'm Dr. Felix Boecker, and today we're talking about physician marriages, why they fail, and how to make them work. Welcome to In Search of 42. Here's the reality about physician marriages. They're hard, really hard. The demands of medicine compete with the demands of a relationship. The hours are brutal. The exhaustion is real. The emotional depletion is constant. And your partner needs you, your time, your attention, your emotional availability. But you have nothing left to give. That's the physician marriage struggle, and it destroys a lot of relationships. I know because I've lived it twice: two divorces, two failed marriages, two relationships that couldn't survive the demands of medicine. But I have also learned from those failures. I have done the work on myself and I've figured out what went wrong. And I'm in a relationship now that's actually working. Not perfect, but working. So today, I'm going to share with you what I have learned from my failures, from my current relationship, from the physician couples I've coached. Because physician marriages can work, but they require intention, they require communication, they require both partners showing up, not just physically, but emotionally. Let me show you how. Let me start with my first marriage. I met her while I was in medical school, and she was a social worker. We got married during residency. She went to nursing school while I was in residency. So we were both in medicine. We both understood the demands, or so I thought. But we never stood a chance because during residency, we never really got to know each other. Like I said before, I was cheating on my job by having an affair with my wife. Medicine was my primary relationship. She was the affair, the thing I fit in when I had time, which wasn't very often. During residency, we each had our own lives. She did her thing, I did mine. We were roommates who occasionally slept together. Not partners, not teammates, not building a life together, just existing in the same space. And we grew apart. It was impossible to maintain a real relationship during residency. I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. I was exhausted when I was home. I was emotionally depleted. I had nothing left to give. And she needed a partner, not someone who was physically present occasionally, but mentally absent. So the marriage failed. We have two kids together and co parenting is fine, but the marriage was doomed from the start. Not because we didn't care about each other, but because residency doesn't allow for a real partnership. That's the harsh reality. My second marriage was different. She wasn't in medicine. The relationship lasted only about 2 or 3 years, the marriage, a few months. It was a personality issue. We just weren't compatible in the end. I discovered a pattern in that relationship, a pattern of losing myself, especially during my second marriage. It was all about my partner. What can I do to make her happy? Instead of looking inward and finding happiness within me or she within her, I was trying everything in my powers to make her happy. And I lost myself in the process. If there is a pattern, it's one of me losing myself to others. Maybe it's the German socialization in me always wanting to help others. Maybe it's extreme altruism. I don't know. But I have learned that I cannot give 100% to others because it leaves nothing for me. And that's not sustainable in a relationship. So the marriage ended, not because of medicine specifically, but because of personality incompatibility. Because I lost myself, because I couldn't be a partner when I didn't even know who I was. Between my second divorce and my current relationship, I did something different. I worked on myself extensively. I asked myself, who am I? What do I want? What are my patterns? Why do my relationships fail? I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I went to therapy. I worked with coaches. I did the hard work of self discovery. And I learned some things. I learned that I have a pattern of losing myself to others. I learned that I struggle with communication. I learned that I prioritize other people over myself. I learned that I'm not always in touch with my emotions. I learned that I have difficulty expressing my own needs, wants, and desires to my partner. I learned that I don't always have sufficient empathy to listen to my partner's needs, wants, and desires without putting mine first. Although, more often than not, I feel like I am always in the service of others and I will prioritize other people over myself, which makes me unhappy because I don't get enough time for myself and my own pursuits. These realizations were uncomfortable. They weren't fun, but they were necessary because I couldn't have a successful relationship until I understood myself, until I knew what I brought to the relationship, both strengths and weaknesses. That work between relationships made all the difference. I'm engaged now. We've been together for almost 3 years, and this relationship is different. Why? What has changed? Well, first, intentionality from both of us. We both want this to work. We're both committed. We're both willing to do the work. That's not a given. In my previous relationships, I'm not sure we both wanted it equally, but this time we do. There's intentionality from both of us that we want this to work. Second, it's a true partnership, not a competition, not one person sacrificing for the other, but a partnership. We talk more about our relationship, about what each of us wants, about our goals, about our struggles, and we support each other in our goals. Not just tolerate them, but actually support them. Third, she calls me out on my blind spots. My fiance is a professional counselor. She is dual licensed as a high school counselor and a therapeutic counselor, and she calls me out on my stuff when I'm not communicating, when I'm losing myself to others, when I'm not expressing my needs. She points it out, and that's a good thing. If I don't see a flaw in my thinking or myself, if no one points it out, it will linger forever. We all have these blind spots. So I appreciate having a partner who can help me grow, who challenges me, who doesn't let me get away with my patterns. Fourth, shared constraints create empathy. We're both geographically bound, both stuck in Toledo because of our kids and our ex partners, both waiting for our kids to grow up so we can leave together. We share a lot of similar parenting struggles, similar geographic frustrations. That shared experience creates empathy, it creates understanding. We get each other in a way my previous partners didn't. Fifth, I have done the work on myself. I'm not the same person I was in my first two marriages. I've been in therapy. I've adjusted my medications. I've built a coaching business that's taught me about relationships. I have learned, I have grown, and I'm bringing a healthier version of myself to this relationship. That makes all the difference. So, what's still hard? What do we struggle with? Well, work. The biggest struggle is still work for both of us because it interferes with what we both want out of life. We want time for each other. We want to spend more time together. But either she is working or I am working. This can get extremely hard for physician couples when you're alternating calls and never see each other. You're like ships passing in the night. You see each other briefly. You exchange logistics about kits and schedules, but you don't connect. You don't have quality time. You don't build intimacy. That's the ongoing challenge. And it's one we have to actively work on. We have to be intentional about creating time for each other, even when it's hard, even when we're both exhausted, even when there are a million other demands. We have to prioritize the relationship, or it will die. Let me talk about another layer of complexity: blended families. We each have 2 kids, 4 kids in total, and they're in and out of our house and their other parents' house. Sometimes we have all the kids, sometimes we only have one, sometimes we have just some of them. It doesn't make for a very stable home life. It can be very chaotic and difficult to plan for things. And it adds another dimension to the relationship struggle because we both want to prioritize our own kids, which then leaves less time for our relationship. So we're juggling my 2 kids and their schedules, her 2 kids and their schedules, both of our work schedules, both of our ex partners and their schedules, our relationships, our individual needs. It's a lot. It's complicated. It's exhausting. But this too shall pass. Eventually, the kids will grow and be out of the house. Eventually, we will have more time for each other. Eventually, it will be less chaotic. And we hold on to that. We remind ourselves that this is temporary. We do the best we can in the meantime. So, what about dual physician couples? Because I've observed some patterns here. The physician couples I'm aware of, at least from a distance, always seem to sacrifice one of their careers for the best of the relationship. Usually it's the woman so she can rear and raise the kids. But that's not 100% of the time. Sometimes it's the man. Sometimes it's whoever has the less demanding specialty. But one career almost always gets sacrificed: reduced hours, part time, less prestigious positions, turning down promotions. Someone compromises their career for the sake of the family. Now, if no kids are involved, they both fully invest in their careers, which limits time together, which creates a different set of challenges. 2 people pursuing demanding careers, barely seeing each other, existing as roommates more than partners. That can work for some people, but for others, it's a recipe for growing apart. What about physicians married to non physicians? Well, it depends on how career focused the non physician partner is. If they are heavily career oriented, there isn't much difference from physician couples. 2 demanding careers, limited time together, constant juggling. Otherwise, the non physician partner often tends more to the home and kids. They become the primary parent, the primary homemaker, the one who handles everything domestic. So the physician can focus on their career. That can work, but it creates imbalance. It creates resentment sometimes. The non physician partner feels like they're doing everything at home. The physician partner feels like they're working constantly in order to provide, and neither feels appreciated. At least that's the dynamics I have seen. Not always, but often. When physician couples come to me for coaching, there are 2 problems that come up over and over. Problem one: time, or lack thereof. Not enough quality time spent with each other. They're busy, they're exhausted, they're managing kids and careers and life, and the relationship gets neglected. They're not dating anymore. They're not connecting. They're not building intimacy. They're just surviving. And survival mode doesn't sustain a relationship. Problem two: communication, or again, lack thereof. Poor communication about each partner's needs, wants, and desires. One partner needs something but doesn't express it. The other partner doesn't know. Resentment builds, assumptions are made, misunderstandings accumulate, and eventually there's strangers living in the same house. So We figure out what the root cause of the relationship struggles is, and then we find solutions. Create time for each other, even if it's small amounts, even if it's imperfect, but time together, intentional time. And we improve communication. Learn to express needs, learn to listen, learn to have difficult conversations, learn to be vulnerable. That's the work. Let me be honest about my own struggle with communication. I have not always been in touch with my emotions. I'm still working on that. And as a result, it has always been difficult to express my own needs, wants, and desires to my partner. I don't always know what I'm feeling. I don't always know what I need. And even when I do, I struggle to articulate it. I also struggle with empathy, to listen to my partner's needs, wants, and desires without putting mine first. Although more often than not, I feel like I am always in the service of others. I will prioritize other people over myself, which makes me unhappy because I don't get enough time for myself and my own pursuits. So there's this tension. I lose myself to others, but I also struggle to express my needs. Both things are true, and both things hurt my relationships. So I'm working on it in therapy, with my fiance, in my own self reflection. But it's hard. Communication doesn't come naturally to me. I have to work at it, I have to be intentional about it. And I don't always get it right. But I keep trying because I know it's essential for a healthy relationship. Let me share the framework I created for couples coaching. It was called Love Forge. I no longer advertise it as a standalone program, but the principles are what I use when coaching physician couples. Love Forge was a 6-week program. And week one was understanding our own patterns, exploring individual patterns and habits that may be impacting the relationship, communication styles, emotional regulation, conflict resolution, identifying areas of strength and weakness. For me, I discovered my pattern of losing myself to others, of prioritizing everyone else above my own needs. That was essential to recognize. Week two is about communicating effectively, focusing on effective communication skills, such as active listening, expressing needs and feelings. Again, conflict resolution strategies, not just talking, but actually communicating, being heard and hearing your partner. Week three is about emotional intelligence and empathy, exploring that emotional intelligence, understanding your own emotions, understanding your partner's emotions, developing empathy, learning to see things from your partner's perspective and not just your own. Week four are conflict resolution strategies, identifying triggers, de escalating conflicts, finding common ground. Not winning arguments, but resolving them in a way that strengthens the relationship. Week five is about rekindling intimacy, exploring ways to rekindle emotional and physical intimacy, scheduling regular dates, practicing affectionate behaviors, prioritizing shared activities, making time for connection, not just existing together, but actually connecting. And week six, maintaining the momentum, focusing on maintaining the momentum from the previous weeks, identifying challenges, developing strategies for continued growth, making the changes sustainable. This is not just a 6-week fix, but ongoing relationship health. This framework works, not because it's magic, but because it's intentional. It forces couples to do the work, to communicate, to connect, to prioritize each other. And that's what makes relationships work. Let me give you some practical strategies that actually work for physician marriages. Strategy one, schedule time for each other. Put it on the calendar like you would any other important appointment. Date nights, even if it's just an hour, even if it's at home after the kids are in bed. Schedule it, protect it. Don't let work or other obligations take it. For my fiance and me, we're just happy when we get to spend one on one time with each other. We do love going out to restaurants and exploring the world together, but with all the kids' schedules, we struggle to find time for each other. So we take what we can get, even if it's not perfect, even if it's brief, but time together matters. Strategy 2, communicate your needs explicitly. Don't assume your partner knows what you need. Tell them clearly, specifically. I need more help with the kids. I need more physical affection. I need more emotional support. I need more time alone. Whatever it is, say it. Your partner cannot read your mind. Strategy 3, listen to your partner's needs. Not just hear them, listen to them, understand them, validate them, even if you don't agree. Even if you can't meet them right now, at least acknowledge them. Strategy 4, find your core values as a couple. What matters to both of you? Family, career, adventure, security, growth, service? Identify your shared values and then create a life that aligns with them. So you're building something together and not just coexisting. Strategy 5, support each other's individual goals. Your partners, not competitors. Your partner's success is your success. Support their career, support their hobbies, support their growth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it requires sacrifice. Strategy 6, have regular check ins, not just about logistics, but about the relationship. How are we doing? What's working? What's not working? What do we need more of? What do we need less of? Regular relationship check ins prevent small problems from becoming big ones. Strategy 7, don't lose yourself. Maintain your individual identity, your hobbies, your friendships, your interests. You can't be a good partner if you've lost yourself. You need to be a whole person on your own so you can bring that wholeness to the relationship. And strategy 8, get help when you need it. Couples therapy, coaching, marriage counseling, whatever it is. Don't wait until the relationship is on life support. Get help early when small issues arrive. Prevention is easier than repair. Let me address something important. In many physician marriages, one career gets sacrificed. Usually it's the woman's, but not always, usually. And that's a difficult conversation because nobody wants to sacrifice their career. Nobody wants to be the one who gives up their dreams. But sometimes it's necessary for the relationship to work. Someone has to be more available for the kids. Someone has to handle more of the home responsibilities. Someone has to be the flexible one. And often that person's career suffers. If you're in that position, here's what I want you to know. It's okay to choose your family over your career. It doesn't make you less of a physician. It doesn't make you a failure. It makes you someone who knows what matters to you. But also, make sure it's a choice, not a default. Make sure you and your partner have discussed it, made the decision together, not just assume that's how it should be, and make sure there's appreciation. Your partner whose career continues should appreciate the sacrifice, should acknowledge it, should support the person who's sacrificing. Otherwise, resentment builds, and resentment destroys relationships. If you're a physician couple in crisis right now, here's what to do. First, stop and assess. What's actually wrong? Is it time? Is it communication? Is it resentment? Is it growing apart? Is it something else? You can't fix it if you don't know what's broken. Second, Talk about it with each other, not about logistics, but about the relationship, about what you're feeling, about what you need. You have to have the hard conversation. Third, get help. Couples therapy, coaching, marriage counseling. Don't try to fix it alone. You need outside perspective. You need professional help. Fourth, make a plan. What are you going to change? What specific actions are you going to take? How are you going to create more time together? How are you going to improve communication? Make it concrete, not just we'll try harder, but actually specific actions. Fifth, follow through. Do the work, show up, be present, be intentional. Relationships don't fix themselves. You have to do the work, both of you. Here's what I want you to know. Physician marriages are hard. They require more work than most marriages because the demands are higher. The time is more limited. The exhaustion is more intense. But they can work. I've seen them work. I'm living one that is working. Not perfectly, but working. And here's what makes them work: intentionality. Both partners want it to work. Both partners are willing to do the work. Communication, expressing needs, listening to needs, having hard conversations, time together, scheduled, protected, intentional time. Not just existing in the same space, but actually connecting. Support, supporting each other's goals, supporting each other's growth. Being teammates, not competitors. Self-awareness, knowing your patterns, knowing your blind spots. Being willing to grow and change. Help when needed. Therapy, coaching, whatever it takes. Not waiting until it's too late, but getting help early. That's what makes physician marriages work. It's not easy. It's not automatic. It requires effort, but it's worth it because having a partner who supports you, who understands you, who loves you, that makes the hard parts of medicine bearable. That gives you something to come home to. That makes life worth living. So do the work. Prioritize your relationship. Don't let medicine destroy it because you can have both: a successful medical career and a successful marriage, but you have to be intentional about it. I've been divorced twice. I failed at marriage twice, but I have learned from those failures. I have done the work on myself. I figured out my patterns. I have learned to communicate better. I've learned to not lose myself to others. I've learned to be a partner. And I'm in a relationship now that's actually working. We're intentional about it. We communicate. We support each other. We make time for each other. We work on it, both of us. And it's working. Not perfectly. We still struggle with work interfering. We still struggle with blended family chaos. We still have challenges, but we're facing them together as partners. And that makes all the difference. Your physician marriage can work too if you're willing to do the work, if you're both committed, if you prioritize it. It can work. This is In Search of 42. I'm Dr. Felix Boecker, and your relationship is worth fighting for. If this episode resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. Leave a comment about your physician marriage. What's working? What are you struggling with? What strategies have helped you? And if you need help with your relationship, reach out. That's what I do here at successWerk. I help physicians build sustainable careers and sustainable relationships. Let me know what you want me to cover next, and I will see you in the next episode.